demonstration, because that's true.
It's ready.
Okay, it's ready now, all right. As I said, it is on, and it's on our YouTube channel. Please mute your phones and computers to avoid any interference during this meeting. And gonna say thank you all for coming out, we appreciate it. Always glad to see the citizens to come and participate in our city council meetings. We really thank you for that. Right now, we're gonna stand for prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for our police department, our city workers, our council members, and all of our citizens in Bruceville-Eddy. Lord God, we just know that you're going to be with us tonight and to give us the encouragement we need to make the right decisions, where some people's going to like and some people won't. But we know that we're going to do the best that we can because we do love our city up here. Lord God, thank you again for everything that you do. We ask for all these things in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Keep standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one indivisible. Thank you. You may have a seat. Okay, we're going to do roll call. And first of all, I want to introduce y'all to our new city administrator, Kent Madden. He has been with us now for a week. 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Oh, is it? Okay, 3 weeks, and doing an excellent job. If y'all have any problems, anytime you need to call down here and talk to him, just tell him that you'd like to talk to him, and if the man's not busy, trust me, he will get with you. He has, I've noticed that about him since he's been here. He is for the citizens. So, just want to introduce to him. To my right is Mr. Griffin, council member, Councilmember Prater, Councilman Bass, and to my left, Councilman Talbert, excuse me.
Sorry, Rachel. Sorry,
Councilman Wiggins. And then we have our chief of police in the back, and Mr. Dorsey, and we have Jeannie back there, our water department. We have Pam over there on the computer. She is our secretary, bottle washer, you name it. This lady does it all. She doesn't mind, she does it. And thank you all again for your citizens. Of course, y'all know who I am. So now we're going to get this going here. Okay? All right. Our first thing we have today is a public hearing. Council to discuss remarks, consider remarks pertaining to a conditional use permit for a modular home to be installed at 108 Pine Street in Eddy, Texas. Clark Lot 5B, Block 1. The public hearing is open to any interested person. Opinions, objections, and/or comments related to this matter may only be expressed in writing, email, or in person. Another person or attorney may also represent you. So if anybody has anything, we got one letter. Public meeting is at, let me get my, 6:05 p.m. 6:05 p.m. Okay? That's when we open the public meeting. Okay? We have one letter. Do we read that now, or do I take citizens first? Ms. Pam, either way? Okay? You want to read the letter?
Sure, Mrs. Mayor. Yeah, let it be known and entered into the record that we did receive one objection to this conditional use permit for which we're having the public hearing. This was entered by Mr. Anthony Johnson, who did not provide an address for this. However, I will go ahead and read the objection response here. So this is attention Mrs. Pam Combs. I wish to object to the conditional permit use requested for 108 Pine Street within the city limits of Bruceville-Eddy. Construction of the new modular home structure, I believe, should be rendered invalid at this present time, per the city ordinances that are currently in standing. It is my understanding that council passed this ordinance as part of the overall comprehensive plan for the future vision of the community and the long-term goals of the city. And he put in parentheses here, appearance, layout, design, materials, etc. The proposed structure will also impact with respect the character and appearance of the wider area on Pine Street, as it will be the only non-single family housing dwelling within the vicinity, with the exception of those mobile homes that were grandfathered in at the time of the ordinance passage. While the proposed housing represents a building of contemporary homogeneous design based on the proposed plans, it does not meet the criteria of the required ordinance. Regards, Anthony Johnson.
Okay, Mr. Bass? Councilman.
I was on the council when the city passed the ordinance that he's referring to, and that was part of our comprehensive plan. And the reason that we passed that ordinance is to keep mobile homes from being placed inside the city limits with regular houses and stuff. But when it comes down to it, a modular home is not considered a mobile home or a trailer house, and the city actually cannot refuse anybody to put in a modular home, and there are several in town, and they're real nice. They don't look like mobile homes, and they're well built to last for a long time. And on Pine Street, where this is going, I think there's only one house on that street.
Well, I'll address it.
There were several houses on that street, but they've all been torn down, and I don't see where a modular home there would hurt anybody. Plus, it would help the city. You know, we need any kind of new growth or anything coming to the city. I'm in favor of it because that means more revenue tax for the city. And for that reason, well, I have no objection to it.
All right, Mr. Prater, you have something to say?
Yeah, when I got the agenda, I looked it up on the map in the conference room, and it is single-family dwelling there. I went by and I walked to Pine Street, and I talked to all the neighbors. Everybody, I asked them if they had a problem with it, because, you know, it ain't my vote, it's theirs. Everybody had no problem with it. I didn't talk to this man in general because he was back behind the property, but everybody on Pine Street said it was okay with them, so.
Ms. Pam?
I think this time is the discussion for the citizens, not
Oh.
the council. So the citizens, if there's anyone here, please get up and speak.
Yes, ma'am.
And then y'all can
Discuss
vote
it,
on
yeah,
it.
okay. All right, is there anybody here in the audience that wants to talk about it? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am, come on up. And speak your name, who you are.
I'm Joyce McLaughlin. I live on Eagle Drive, 604 Eagle Drive. What is the difference between when this occurs again, what is the difference between a mobile home and a modular home? Why would a modular home be okay, but a mobile home not?
Modular homes are built different than mobile homes. Modular homes, the framing and stuff inside a modular home are spaced the same way as homes are. You know, where trailer houses are built, they're spaced farther apart. The trenches and all that stuff is farther apart. I mean, we have some, but they're different. They're not built as strong and as sturdy as they say modular homes are. Plus, it will be on a foundation. It will not be on
Okay,
a...
it's on a foundation.
Yeah, it will not be on wheels or anything
Pier
like
and
that.
beam. Okay.
So once
Okay.
it's there...
I just want to know the difference in that, because you hear those terms thrown around, but you're not real sure
Yes, ma'am.
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So-
it's the way they're built. The 2x4s and 2x6s, I'm not a carpenter, so I can't tell you, you know.
Okay.
I know a 2x6 is thicker than a 2x4, is that correct? Okay, all right, and they use different things. Okay? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just as an
Your name, sir?
this is Graham McGruer.
Okay.
When we were moving here, one of the things we did is extensive research into modular homes, mobile homes, things like that.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that did stand out to me is a modular home must meet building code. Okay, it can't,
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's really the significant difference between the two, as a modular home and an actual, quote, stick-built home.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else have anything to say about the modular home for Old Pine Street? Any concerns?
I have no concern, and I live next door to them.
All right, well, we appreciate you, sir, for coming.
I mean, I got a log cabin, the same thing as the modular home is.
Yes, sir, sure is.
It's on pyramid, it's the same thing, man.
Yes, sir.
And it's well coated. I got 2x4s, 1 foot apart. My
1 foot,
my
okay.
2x6s are 1 foot
I
apart.
couldn't remember what there was, what it was, but I noticed it.
There ain't nothing wrong with
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And what was your name, sir?
it. Curtis King.
All right, thank you, sir.
He tried to talk me into buying one like his when I was there.
Only thing I want is just to keep the yards clean and make it look nice.
And it went, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any questions talk about it? If not, we're gonna close the public hearing, and it is 6:13. Okay. Number 3, citizens' presentation. The city council welcomes public comments on the point of items not specifically listed on the agenda. Speakers must sign up before the meeting begins. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each. The council cannot respond to matters nor listed on the agenda until a further meeting. Pam, did we have anybody sign up?
No.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, at this time, we're gonna have, our city administrator, Kent, give his report.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. First off, I just kind of wanted to introduce myself. I know y'all kind of gotten to know me up here on council and staff. We've kind of been getting to know each other a little bit over the last 3 weeks. But for those of you who don't know me, my name's Kent Manton. I'm your new city administrator. Like the mayor was saying, I'm welcome to take conversations, emails, phone calls. I'm here to serve you. What I've noticed about the city of Bruceville-Eddy since showing up is I think it's going to be a real good fit for me and my family. We're not residing within the city limits just yet. We're renting a home up in Robinson while we kind of look for a good fit for our family. But from just the character and everybody, all the support and everything everybody showed me, it's been real encouraging and real welcoming, so I really appreciate that. I've been digging in, getting ready for the budget, getting up to speed on everything that we've been doing over the last year. So that's kind of what I've been busy doing over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So anyways, thank you all. Secondly, I just want to introduce our new court clerk / water clerk. This is Danielle McGruer. She is with us. This is her first week on the job. She's been doing outstanding so far. She has taken lots of notes. She's getting trained up. And we're glad to have her on the team. So welcome Danielle. Okay.
Danielle.
So now on to the official business here. Council, for the first item on your report there, you'll see our hydraulic analysis project update. So I was actually speaking with the city engineer on this one today, and he will have some more information for you. But I just want to kind of let you know that we're making pretty good strides on this. And as you know, right now we are trying to reconcile our water meter count. That's the first step in this hurdle. It's an important variable needed to move this project along. In the past, Gene has been working on marking up some maps and getting those over to the engineer's office. Kind of been doing a little bit back and forth on that, trying to identify some meters that may not be currently active. So what we've been doing over this last week, and kudos to Gene and Laura on this one, because they have been working their tails off on all the regular duties and then trying to get this figured out. But they've pulled off reports with GPS to account numbers. And we just got to do a little bit of cleanup on that, on the data, get it in a format that's going to work out for the mapping software that the engineer's office uses. And they should be able to use that as an overlay on their software and be able to see exactly how many meters we have on hand, and then they can take it to the next step.
We have a time frame on that?
What's that?
We have a estimated time frame on it?
Good question. So I put in here, I think tomorrow afternoon, we should be able to finalize any of the issues that we're having on that Excel spreadsheet. If not, the latest on Monday, to get that over to Mr. Tabor's office. And then he was expecting, I think, 2 to 3 weeks working on the maps, and then additional 3 weeks or so pending that there's no other hiccups on any of the data collection that he's needing to complete his analysis. And then he hopes to present this in September or October would be ideal for him. And then we can begin making some decisions, policy decisions on what we would like to improve water system wise.
Good deal, good deal.
Amen.
All right, any other questions on that item? Okay, water rate increase. So as you know, Blue Bonnet, they are having to increase their water rates, which they sell to us in bulk on a per 1,000-gallon rate. Mr. Jean serves on the board of directors for that. Last month, in the month of June, they were able to knock down a proposed rate increase of 50 cents per 1,000 gallons. This month, however, Mr. Jim Lilly, the general manager over there, came back with a additional rate increase of 30 cents that he's needing per 1,000 gallons to make his budget work. And the directors did approve that. So we'll need to look at increasing our rates, and I would like to get that to you in August. I would bring some proposals to council, some different options, see if we want to adjust base rates, adjust the usage rates, kind of see what we can do to make sure it's a good fit for the city and our budget and also for the citizens. Got a question on that one, sir?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Next item on there is we are currently in our stage 1 water restrictions. Just kind of wanted to remind everybody this is a voluntary stage. We were technically supposed to be in this in the month of May. We did not receive a letter from the Brazos River Authority, so we quickly went to implement this as soon as we found out we needed to do it, which was this Monday. So we just ask, you know, as a city that everybody just kind of take a look at your current systems, your sprinkler system, maybe while it's running, take a look at the head, make sure that we're not losing anything to waste on that, you know. Avoid any, you know, completely wasteful uses like flushing out the gutters, you know, save that for another time, or, you know, spraying down sidewalks, that type of stuff. Mr. Lilly stated on this one that we are well positioned at Lake Belton overall. It's currently at 81% capacity, and in his opinion, he did not foresee us needing to move to stage 2 through the month of September, even if we did not receive any precipitation in the watershed. So that's the good news on that one. For the sewer, this is the big one, right? Pam and Linda.
Well, you can't flush the sewer if you don't have no water.
What's that? You can't flush the sewer if you don't have any water, but we're sitting good with water.
Yes.
right now.
So far.
So far. But as for the sewer, Linda and Ms. Pam, they have been working their tails off this past month getting these easements secured. As you know, we started this month off with 7 easements left to go. We are down to 2. We're down to 2 easements. Technically 3. There's one that we need to cross the T on and dot an I on, but we've got that one pretty much secure. We've got 2 holdouts here. We got 275 Anna Holmes. Pam is working on that one right now. She is in communication with the owner via email. He has some more questions about how the easement's going to affect his property. And then 106 Temple, the property owner desires to sign the easement. We're just missing a document on that one. Regardless of that, we still need to submit a waiver to the USDA to request more time on this. As y'all know, we're up against our 5-year deadline to start the disbursement of these funds from the loan. And even if we got all the easements signed yesterday, we would still need time to send things out to bid and start the flow of money, which is ultimately what the federal government wants to see. They want to see their money being put to use. Yes, sir. Any questions on any of those there?
None of that sewer loan and grant has been used so far, not one penny. It's all
We hadn't got it.
being held until we actually start the sewer, and then they will pay it out as you go.
Yeah, but just to be clear, we hadn't received any of that money.
No.
That's correct.
That's correct.
It's in a bank somewhere in Beverly Hills in somebody else's name. Our name, hopefully. But it's there, it's just waiting for us to get ready to start.
And lastly on this, so we can move along, the budget and tax rate, that's coming up. We are in budget season right now. As everyone knows, the tax appraisals are going up across the board, and so that's affecting everybody's tax rates. And I'm feeling the pain with my property as well. We will likely, however, based on this, be taking in a significant amount of additional revenue compared to years past. So we will be setting up a budget workshop in the next couple weeks. August the 11th, the afternoon, we have But at that point, I'll be bringing to you a proposed budget, proposed tax rates, and also the no new revenue and voter approval rates. And that wraps it up for me.
Okay, anybody have any questions or anything for the administrator? Okay, all right. Police report, Chief Dorsey.
Makes a difference.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's good to see everybody and thank y'all for being here. Always enjoy seeing everybody out in the audience and I appreciate our citizens being here. I'd first like to start with our police department report for June 2022. For calls for service, we had 144 reports, which include arrest, offense, and incident, a total of 30. We worked 2 crashes, so 2 crash reports. Citations and warnings total 200. Citations 89, warnings 111. And then Mr. Arnold,
Okay.
Thomas
So
Arnold.
you, is that all the police report?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we're gonna do code enforcement, and Mr. Arnold, our code enforcer, is, not here tonight. He apologizes for that. He will be here next time, but he has asked the chief to give his report.
So on code enforcement this month, it looks like Mr. Arnold had a total of 59 cases worked. He closed a total of 17. There's 8 cases in court currently, and then active cases at end of month is 42. So that's the code enforcement report for the month. One other quick thing, I just want to give an update on our vehicles,
Yes, sir.
because we're still waiting patiently, well, kind of patiently. I've been calling or emailing every about 7 to 10 days, and that's starting to offend some people. So they told me to back off a little bit, but they know that we need our vehicles. The car that we ordered back in November is currently in transit, and it's being in transit. It's being, I guess, shipped by rail car. So it's probably on a train somewhere, but it is in transit, and hopefully within the next couple weeks, the dealer/outfitter will receive the car. They have all the parts, is my understanding, to upfit the vehicle. They're just waiting on the car. But that's the vehicle that had to get built from scratch from Ford. And they finally got the car built. It's in transit. And then on the Durango's been sitting on the upfitter's lot for over 6 weeks now, waiting on parts. My understanding is the parts have showed up, but it's in line to get put together. So hopefully within the next few weeks, we'll have that vehicle. But it's just a lot of waiting right now.
Yes, sir.
So, but it'll all work out in the end, and it'll be worth it, so.
Thank you, sir.
I think that's all
Does
I got.
anyone have any questions for the chief? I don't think so this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, council to discuss, consider, and possibly adopting ordinance number 7-28-2022-2, upgrading the international codes from 2005 to 2020, National Electrical Code, and from 2006 to 2021, International Building Code, Residential Code, Energy Conservation, my tongue is twisted, thank you, Code, Mechanical, Fuel, Gas Code, Plumbing Code, Property Maintenance Code. Okay, and administrator's going to give you that report.
Thank you once again, Mrs. Mayor. So, again, Mr. Arnold could not be here to speak on this one. But the updates to this code are something that we've needed for a long time, as we've kind of been discussing here in-house. Right now, we're utilizing the 2006 codes. A lot of other cities aren't even close to this. Maybe they're a few years back, 2018, 2017, something like that on comparable cities. There's also a provision in this to have an automatic upgrade every time there's a new code that's published. These codes are constantly going under review. They're exposed to public comment from contractors, developers, builders who submit a lot of different information on how these codes can be changed, how they can be made better. So what we want to do is kind of establish ourselves and get ready for any potential development that does come to the city. We need to be operating off of the most up-to-date standards on that one. So you've all got your handout here on the reasons to update, and welcome any discussion and comments.
Anybody have any comments, council? Does council have any comments on these updates?
I wanna know what this fuel gas code is. What is
The fuel
what is a
gas code?
fuel gas code?
Honestly, sir, I do not know what the fuel gas code is off the top of my head.
Mr. Topper?
Do we need Mr., our code enforcement man here to explain this, or
Yeah.
do
I'd
we
like-
need, is he,
Well, he was giving updates on it, of what we have in there.
okay, I was just asking, I didn't,
I think some of
what
our
is your recommendation?
stuff is outdated.
Yeah, it's outdated,
Yeah.
yes, sir. We're trying to get it brought up to date.
Cause everything has to be inspected.
Yes, sir.
Well, can I speak?
Yes, sir.
I don't really feel good about voting on this when I don't even know what a fuel gas code is. And nobody else seems to know what it is either. I'd like a little bit more time to do.
Yes, sir. Well, that's very possible. We can do that.
Yeah.
I think what that is,
Okay, hang on. Miss Pam has.
Oh, okay, over here on this,
The
okay.
ordinance was copied from the ordinance that we have in our ordinances right now. That's the same ordinance, it's just the dates have changed, and we added that one thing about updating as they amended. So
It's been-
that was in the other ordinance.
Well, what is it?
I really don't know.
I don't feel comfortable about voting on something I don't even know what it is.
Well, it's, right now, okay,
I think it's something to do with natural gas or something like that.
okay.
Somebody might have put it in there, they
Hello.
know what they're talking about.
Yes, sir.
So if anybody uses propane, has a propane tank at their
Yeah.
house, the propane goes into their house, or anybody has natural gas that goes into their house,
That's the code.
Thank you.
I was right.
That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Your name?
Sharima Brewer.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're having our house built on 915 Old Moody Road, and it's almost done. And we'll be having propane put in the next couple of weeks. So if you approve this ordinance today, how does that affect us?
No,
We
it's the,
were building to old codes. up
okay,
until
right. Well,
possible.
it's still the same code. We're just updating it because the last time it was updated was in, I think, what, 2006 or something like that. It's the same code. Nothing has been added to it. Is that right, Ms. Pam?
Yeah, it's the same thing, but this is basically the standards for the inspector.
For the inspector, so he can look at it and go, oh, well, okay, it's up to date now, it's 2020. It's gonna be the same code, it's just gonna show it's 2021 instead of 2006.
So there are no changes.
No, ma'am.
And on this one, to answer your question specifically on that one, it's where the building permit has been applied for. So you've already applied for
You've
your
already
building
applied for it,
permit,
so don't
so
worry.
you're working
Yeah.
off of the old code.
Okay, all right.
May
Okay.
be different now. It may be different.
Yes, sir.
It's okay.
if you're building anything,
But it ain't the same.
you should be
Excuse
able to
me?
run off the state code,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes. If we're building anything, we go up
Anything
there.
we're doing, anything, you should be able to run off state code.
Right.
I go off state wiring, I go off state everything.
Yeah.
That should be your, code.
All right.
And I know you're gonna have a little bit different, but that should be the national code, the national state code is what you should run off.
Right,
international
that's what
code.
these are.
Yeah, that's what this,
That's what that gas code is, cause they hardly ever change that stuff unless it's a.
exactly.
I
It's,
like it.
yeah, it's the same code, it's just that we're just showing that it's been updated to today's date. And that way, when the inspectors come out and look, they can't go, oh, well, the last time this was updated was 2006, we need to get this updated. Well, now we got it updated. Same code, just different date. Okay?
The code does get updated, Mrs. Mayor. So on this one too, a lot of these folks, you're right, they're already following these
State
codes out.
codes.
They're already out there, they're already following best practices when they're doing these inspections in the homes, right? It's difficult to kind of go back and look at old codes and kind of work those into the new codes. You're really only working off the most recent stuff that you're learning and that you're doing on that one. So this is just getting this up to industry standards.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Councilman Bass?
You're talking about your gas and everything. This is done and inspected to be sure and certain that it's hooked up right, and it's not gonna be leaking gas or blow up the house. That's the reason we have these, ordinances for inspections. And, electricity, whatever it is, you don't want something to be hooked up wrong, and some night, middle of the night, your house blows up or catches on fire. And that's the reason we have to do those inspections. It's not, we don't do that just to harass people. It's for your safety, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yes, sir. Your name?
Y'all, is Mr. Arnold checking contractors as far as their state licenses are concerned?
He is in the process of when somebody turn like say I'm building a new home, which I'm not, but say I'm building a new home, and I find me a general contractor to come in and do it, and then he gives me a list of electricians, and then that is taken to Mr. Arnold, and then he goes in there and he looks it all up to see if those people really have license.
Yeah, 'cause you can check them on site too, if you have the license with them.
Yeah, they're supposed to have, yes, sir. But yes, sir, he is checking. Any other questions? Oh, Mr. Wiggins, Councilman
Okay,
Wiggins.
on the reason to update on number 7C and D, it talks about the AC duct testing, a blower, door test, $1,000 cost, and this has to do with cost increase. It says the other cost increase is energy efficient, and then it says A, B, C, D, E. Well, D says adding approximately $5,000 per 1,800 square feet. That seems, yeah.
They didn't get that page.
Well, I just got it, was laid up here on the desk.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, that seems high. We're gonna add 5,000. I'm not even sure what it is now, but we're gonna add 5,000. Do you know what it might be, Pat?
No, I'm just, like I said, I sent the ordinance to our attorney and asked her to give me, the type of ordinance stuff and everything, because we needed to change our building codes from the old ones to the new ones. And all she came back and said, well, this ordinance looks just fine, all you need to do is change the dates on it. So I typed it exactly back to the ordinance and I changed the dates.
So that was already an ordinance where that price was already there?
Yeah.
Well, I think, excuse me.
Okay, yes, sir.
Mr. Newell, sorry about that. One of the things he mentioned, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that in my reasons to update here, is what he's referring to in this update, is that, for most folks wanting to do a remodel, a small remodel, this really isn't gonna affect price-wise. What it is gonna affect is developers coming in and building new homes, because they have to build them up to the most recent code, and a lot of those do have additional costs with that. I think he's willing to talk with it. But if we don't have enough information here tonight, I'm totally okay with you maybe making a motion to table this until future.
I think that's what people are wanting done anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Griffin made a motion that we table it.
I'll second it.
You'll second it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3. Okay, unanimous?
And I know what that is.
Okay. We're gonna be tabling this one. Table. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, water report, Gene?
So I got y'all a copy of the work orders that we had for the month. And I had to go from the 23rd to the 23rd. When we read meters, we're gonna do that report that way. That way, everything like work orders, water leaks, well, after the 23rd, it starts the new month. And so it showed that we had 8 leaks. Well, I had her updated after she put in some work orders. We fixed 11 leaks last month. And we had a total of 79 work orders completed, with not counting the turn-offs and turn-ons for non-payment. So that's where we're at on that. the vehicle reports, I think I put everybody a copy up there
Yes, you did.
on the desk. That way y'all can see what vehicles are out there, what the mileage is on it, where it's at, it's in the shop or whatever. And I'll probably try to get y'all that like every 3 months, unless y'all want a monthly one just to see how many miles we put on them a month. I mean, it don't matter to me. But the dually is still in the shop, getting the heads replaced and worked on. I got a text today, said, well, I got a text last week, said it should be, Wednesday, yesterday. Didn't get it, so I texted him, and he said it should be ready tomorrow. We'll see. I don't know. I think, did Pam email all of y'all a copy of the inspection report for the tank inspections?
Yes.
Okay. I know it's a lot of pages. I had her do that now. That way next month, when I put it on the agenda to suggest tank cleaning or whatever, y'all had time to look at it. And if not, I've got a hard copy in there, y'all can come look at, whatever. But we need to start rehabbing, cleaning these tanks, cause, you know, tanks rust out. We ain't got nowhere to put the water but on the ground,
Yeah.
and that ain't good. So I am working on getting bids from a couple of different tank inspectors or divers to clean them.
I was just gonna say that,
Mayor's
I was,
Mayor's
I was just gonna say, I was agreeing with Mr. Wiggins the last time, that he said we need to try to see getting it all done at once, all of it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest, is we try to get all of this done at one time. Get
Right,
them
and
all
that's-
up to snuff.
That's what I'm working on now. The original quote that I got from the divers that did the inspection, I'm waiting on him to give me an email for all of them at one time. And then we can look at, do we wanna do the worst two and just start rotation, or we can do them all at one time? It doesn't matter. But it would be beneficial later down the line to get them in a rotation where you're doing 2 a year. And after that 4th year, it's time to start back over with them. I think me and Kent have talked about that.
And on that one too, if you'll take a look at the report, not all of them may necessarily need a cleaning out. Some of them have, 50%, 40% coverage. So we could look at doing them all at one time, or we could look at a rotation just to kind of save the budget a little bit as well.
Mr. Toller?
There's different issues with different ones.
Yes, sir.
They're all like you said, and,
Yes, sir.
years ago, I think that's what we normally did, because most of the time they tried to repair them every year when they found something
Yes, sir.
before they got in bad shape. So thank you very much.
And update on the other truck that the council had approved. So I called right after we had the meeting and it was approved. Guy said it's in Texas, it's in transit. So I'm just like the PD now, we're getting different story. So Johnny called them last week, talked to the guy, and the guy said, it's in transit, it's in Texas. So Johnny says, can we go pick the truck up? If it's in Texas, we'll come get it. No, you can't do that. So yesterday, we was going to Falls County to fix a leak, had Pam call them. She talked to the main sales manager there, and he said it's still at at the factory. So it's,
In Mexico.
yeah, it could be here tomorrow, it could be here next month, we don't know. So,
We don't even know if it's in Mexico, we don't even know if it's even started being built.
exactly, it just says in
Yeah.
transit.
Right.
So I did find everything today to try to find another truck, so, and I've got some bids, and we'll discuss that later, because I know it's not on this agenda,
That's true.
and, we'll try to move forward with it that way.
All right.
Anybody
Anybody have any
anything?
questions for Gene? Thank you, Gene.
All right.
Appreciate it. Okay, engineer report, Johnny?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna pass out the report
Thank
on
you, Johnny.
the newspaper airplanes out of.
Connie, he just knocked you over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
well, I'm going home then.
Thank you.
So if you forget what I said, you can just look it up. So
Okay.
my report is on the projects that we're actively working on right now. A list of them begins with USDA rural development And this one is one where we're waiting on the remaining items that's required of the city by USDA before they can issue their closing instructions. So when they do that, that gives us authorization to start getting it ready to bid. So we're waiting on some easements and a couple of other things, I think.
Yes, sir. We're waiting on 2 easements, and then, I'm not 100% sure where we are on the ordinance verbiage. Pam, do you have an update on that one? There was some, verbiage in the bond ordinance that we needed to fix. Did we get all that rectified? Okay, we'll have to kind of dig into that one.
Okay.
But my understanding from the USDA is that as soon as we got the easements, we could begin requesting the letter for closing. And any of the bond, ordinance issues that we needed to fix, we could work on those as we're going along.
Okay, we're ready to rock and roll.
I think it was in there.
I'm ready for the work.
Yes, sir.
We're ready too.
So the next item, number 2, is hydraulic analysis and system mapping update. We received markups from Gene on 7/14, and continue to work with the city to verify that the meters on the maps match the meters that the city reads plus any reserve meters. So we know that the city is gonna have more meters on their billing or that we've reserved than what they're actually reading every month. And that's because we have developers that have developed property and that we are committed to put a meter in that property. So for our mapping purposes, so we get the hydraulics correct, we identify it differently, but we put a meter at those places as if they were actually using water. We have to do that to make sure that we're reflecting, our analysis reflects the correct amount of meters that you're obligated to serve. And we differentiate between the ones that's really a meter in the ground and somebody's using it versus a meter box that's there that you have to serve, but they're not actually serving. The city administrator said a while ago, we're looking at 3 weeks or so to get the maps to a finished state. The plan will be to send a brand new updated set to the city that should be correct, but there will be a few weeks that if Gene finds that what was on there is a 4-inch and what it really is a 3-inch or a 6-inch, then he can tell us and we can update it. And that will affect the hydraulics. So we're ready to get that one done too. When I talked with the city administrator earlier, just so I know we've got some newer faces in the room to hear this, but when we finish the hydraulic analysis and the mapping, we will publish a bound report of that work. We will also make an in-person presentation with maps and explain what we see that's happening in your water system, where you are have plenty of water supply to serve additional customers, and where you need to do some improvements before you can add any, whatever the cases are. And we will not prioritize those as saying, this is where you need to spend your money here or over here. We will just show you what they are, and our emphasis will always be, no matter where it is to get your system in compliance with TCEQ rules. And that will include evaluating your supply, both your surface water supply and your groundwater supply, as well as your tank capacity and your pumping capacity. The third item on here is the Foster Branch Edition, and this is lots 1 through 6. This has been a challenging 6 lots to get service to, but bids were received by the city for this project on July 14th. There were 6 bidders, and the low bidder was a contractor named Bull G Construction out of Houston. The developer sent a check to the city for the water line construction and engineering And I don't know, did you get instructions to deposit the check?
I'm still holding it.
Okay. There is some issues that I will explain. So the developer sent a check, but his check was only for the water line construction and the engineering, and not for clearing trees and brush that obstruct the route. Because we took an alternate bid for clearing, and it was some $16,000 for it.
Right.
And he did not include a payment for that. So, and I'm okay with that, as you'll read further. Payment for clearing trees and vegetation was not included, so it must be done by the developer quickly to avoid construction delays. We can't sit here for 4 months or 5 months waiting on somebody to come out with a little tractor and knock some brush down. This is a 30-foot wide easement. I've looked at the site. Currently, it's open, in some places it's opened about 15 foot, and that was for overhead power lines to be put in to service the area. The rest of it has not been done, and in some parts of it, nothing's been done. We gotta get, and what the city has to work with is the first 15 foot is for the power, for general utility easements. The next 15 foot is for the city's water line. So it's gotta be cleared. So what I did with this is I sent this to the city's attorney, Mr. Muela, and James Muela, and said, this is what we got. We need to find out if this guy's gonna clear that before we award the contract. If he's gonna wait till next year to clear it, then the bids are gonna expire. So, with all that being said, the city attorney is gonna oversee the issue of how it's gonna be cleared, and who's gonna do it, and when they're gonna do it. So, my recommendation is that you take some action on this item, because if this issue is resolved in 3 days, then the contract needs to be awarded to the low bidder. And so my recommendation for this item, which I think is down the list, item number 10, is my suggestion and recommendation is that you make a motion and authorize the mayor to sign the notice of award to the low bidder and then the construction contracts after it's approved by the city attorney. So what that does is you're authorizing the mayor to sign the documents after we get all this stuff straight. So if they don't get it straight, then I recommend you don't sign it. And if they do get it straight, then we need to move on it. The bids are always good for 30 days, and 30 days is gonna be up before you meet at your next regular session. So that's my suggestion, and I'll take some questions.
Okay, just so I'm clear, they're gonna pay for that,
Absolutely.
the tree removal.
Yeah.
We're not gonna pay for that.
Either they're gonna do it, I mean, this is their land, so
Right.
if they have somebody with a bulldozer that's gonna come in the next week,
Right,
and they're gonna plow through there and clear it all and do something with it, I'm fine with that.
right.
I just don't want that to be delayed for 3 months, and this contractor sue the city because they didn't get to come in and do what they were hired to do.
Well, sure, and I just don't want us to have to pay anything
I don't
out
either.
there whatsoever. We've already spent enough money on these people.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilman Thomas?
Okay.
Are you gonna inspect that to whoever clears it, the brush?
I'm sorry?
Or will you inspect the clearing and say,
Oh, yeah.
he hires somebody?
Yeah, yeah. If he hires somebody to come in there and they run through there and knock down a couple of trees and we don't have the full 30-foot width, then I'm gonna call the attorney and say, they need to come back and finish the job.
I'm like Mr. Wiggins, we spend a lot of money out there on this.
I know.
And they need to do what they're supposed to do.
And that's the reason I said, I'm not recommending that you sign an award until we figure out what they're gonna do with this clearing issue. Because, I mean, it's $16,000 worth of work by the low bidder.
Right.
So we need to get it addressed. But if they come up with a plan and say, yeah, guy's gonna be in here next week and he's gonna clear it all, and the attorney is satisfied that they've committed to do that, then I say let's move with it, award the contract and get on with it.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh,
No,
Councilman Bass?
I'll
Oh,
make a motion,
and you wanna make a motion, sir?
yeah. If you
Nah,
want.
We ain't got there
It's
yet.
on your, it's not on the next item,
It's,
it's on the
number
one
10.
after that.
Yeah.
Number
Yeah,
10.
number
Oh,
10.
10.
No, I'm sorry.
Next
Number
time.
9, it is the next item.
All right, number 10, discuss and/or possibly take action on notice of award for Foster Branch Addition water improvements, lots 1 through 6, contingent on development payment in full. Yes, sir. Mr.
Yes.
Bass?
I move that we authorize the mayor to sign the notice of award and construction contracts after and only after, it's been approved by the city attorney.
I'll second that.
Okay, all right, I'm writing all that down. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous? Okay. Number 11, council to discuss, consider, possibly take action on approving the minutes from June 23rd, 2022, council meeting, and July the 5th, 2022, special called meeting. Okay, Mr. Bass?
I move, that we approve, the minutes from June 23rd, 2022, and July the 5th, 2022. That's the regular council meeting and a special call meeting.
Okay, yes, sir. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, Prater's gonna second, Councilman Prater seconds it.
It's,
Yes, sir, question?
one thing there on that June the 23rd, I had called Pam to correct one item on that, item number 11. You get that corrected, Pam?
Yes, and I'll
Okay.
post.
So it's corrected, okay, good.
Okay, that
Okay.
was all.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous, okay? All right, number 12. A, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on approving financial reports for June 2022 for general and water fund accounts. And y'all wanna combine A and B, or you just
Yes,
separate?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on approving accounts payable for June 2022 for general and water fund accounts. Okay, Mr. Palmer?
If nobody has any questions about it, I reviewed them in detail, and I had one question, but Gene answered it for me, so I
Okay.
would make a motion if nobody has any questions to
Okay,
approve A and B.
all right.
My second,
Okay, Councilman Bass seconded.
A and B.
A and B. Okay,
Yeah.
number,
I just have a comment.
yes, sir.
I'd like to take note that Gene and the guys, the sale of the scrap metal from that Talbot well, I don't know if y'all noticed, was over $4,300.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So,
Yes.
so that'll nearly pay for that pickup. So that's a good job. y'all
Thank you,
did
thank
on
you.
that.
Yeah.
All right, okay, number 13,
We got,
council
whoa,
to
whoa, whoa,
dis-
we gotta vote.
Oh, I thought we did, I'm sorry.
We gotta
All
vote.
in favor?
I interrupted.
Yes,
You
okay.
got off track.
Unanimous, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, now we're going to 13. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly approving conditions use permit for a citizen to put a modular home at 108 Pine Street, Eddy, Texas. Does anybody have any comment? Mr. Wiggins, Councilman Wiggins.
Okay, and in that objection response, I guess what I don't understand is, he says that, as it will be the only non-single-family housing dwelling within the vicinity.
It is a single-family dwelling.
Yeah, I mean, what is he trying to, because it's one family living there and they've got kids, is that what he's trying to say, that that's not single family?
Sir, I read that.
I'm not sure.
I don't know, I read that, several times, and then some of the words on there, I thought, what in the world does that mean? I looked it up on Google, and then finally I took it to the administrator, and I said, hey, explain this to me. And he said, well, he's contradicting himself from here to here.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
So
Mr. Wiggins.
one other thing is, he states that I believe should be rendered invalid at present time per the city ordinances that are currently in standing. Is this gonna violate any of our ordinances that are currently
No.
ordinances that we have?
No, sir.
Do you see
Yes,
any
ma'am.
violations of current?
When I looked it up, and in the ordinances and zoning bill, it has listed that they have to do a conditional use permit to put it in there.
Right.
And
That's
I've
it.
always been, it was always said that you could put a site-built house or a modular home
Right.
in the city limits, just not a manufactured home. But if it's in a manufactured home, there's designated areas for them in the city limits.
So, no,
Okay,
there's no
and with that said, we have all the information on this home that was, issued to us,
Yes, sir.
and a drawing of where it's gonna be and everything. So it looks to me like everything is in order. I don't see nothing that's out of order
Yes,
on
sir.
this, or out of compliance with our ordinances that I'm aware of, anyway.
Okay. Councilman Tolbert?
I'm very familiar with Pine Street, most of all my life, some of my friends live there, right where this house is gonna be.
Yes, sir.
And there's more than, one house, like, it's not like the gentleman said, and
Yes, sir.
there are two mobile homes behind it toward Franklin that was grandfathered in many years ago.
Yes, sir.
But that's all, and Mr. again lives right next door to this
Yes.
man. So,
Yeah.
All right.
thank you, ma'am.
Councilman Bass?
Well, I was just gonna say, at one time, there was a, double wide, Miss Henry, her daughter had that double wide in there, but it's gone now. And then there was one on the corner where you turn, and it more or less fell in and was neglected, and the city made them move it. And, I think, is this mobile home going where the old house used to be?
That's where the Pimentas and the Wilcoxes lived a long time ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right across from that shop.
Yeah, it's right next door to Curtis back this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right across the street.
but I don't see where a modular home would hurt
Yeah,
anything.
most of the places there, except
Okay.
with the exception of one home, is
Mr.
pretty
Wiggins?
nice.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit to put a modular home at 108 Pine Street, Eddy, Texas.
I'll second.
And, Conley Bass,
And I just,
second it?
Mrs.
Yeah.
Mayor, can I make a point of
sure
order here
can.
real quick? Just want to put it on the record that we do have a signed affidavit of a potential conflict of interest on that for Mr. Griffin. He is stating that there's a potential conflict of interest or the appearance thereof because this is property of a relative.
And therefore, he won't be in the
He will
vote.
not be voting on this.
Okay, all in favor? All four. We got 4 votes for, and Mr. Griffin is excused from making a vote,
He abstains.
abstains. Okay, number 14, council to discuss, consider, and approve ordering the city election for November of 2022 election. Mr. Bass?
I move that we approve and appoint the mayor to order a city election for the general election on November the 8th, 2022. The city has to issue an order for election in order to vote.
Would that not be the city administrator instead of me? Or would that be me?
I believe it's you.
Me?
Or both of
Okay.
you can
I'll
sign.
start saying,
Or let him
this is my boss.
Ask him, he should
I'll
know.
try to keep you in line, but let's get that straight.
I think as the
Okay,
mayor
the
is the one
mayor,
that has to do
okay,
it.
sign it, okay.
I used to sign it.
All right, you used to sign it, okay. Mr. Bass made a motion,
I'll second.
Mr. Talbert second. All in favor? Unanimous? All right. Council to discuss, consider, and approve the new trash rates with Waste Connection in effect July the 1st of 2022.
All right.
Okay, who wants to just
You
talk
wanna
about
go
that?
ahead.
Yes, sir. Council, you'll have this rate increase overview that I handed out here. Just some general notes, some general facts, history, some of the issues that we're currently having with our vendor. You'll see here on this that Waste Connections is increasing their rates by 9.24%. This number is calculated using a mechanism, their CPI tracker, which is in our established agreement, dating back to 2006. You'll see here our current total receptacle unit count is 603, that's as of yesterday. Another note on this, we've been in contract with Waste Connections since 2006 with 2 5-year renewals, with the most recent of that being May 31st of 2021. The current rate was established back in December of 2020. Thank you, Mr. Wiggins, for digging that up for us. And that was a 1.8% increase. Currently, the city is charging a 2.88 overage for administrative costs on this, on the garbage rate. Conversations with our city attorneys, just to let y'all know, do indicate that we are well within our rights to begin the process of terminating this contract, per section 32, failure to perform on the behalf of the vendor. There are certain steps that we need to take. Of course, we would have to discuss this at a future council session. Some of the issues that we've been having, just so everybody's aware, I know overall the industry has been plagued with a lack of steady qualified labor. And I think that's probably what they're gonna come back and state as one of their biggest issues. Other cities that we have been in communication with, have been reporting a lot of the same issues of waste not being picked up. Specifically, we've had a large commercial customer here in the city with trash backing up for weeks on end, despite their calls, for a collection on that. So, just so you are aware, communication has been lackluster from us trying to talk and get a lot of these issues remedied. Laura, our water clerk, who deals a lot with the customer complaints on this, says it has been getting better over the last couple of weeks. If you'll turn the page on the back of that, it has our current cost breakdown for the customer. Right now, Waste Connections is charging us $15.53. We charge 44 cents for our administrative rate. The total rate that a customer sees for garbage on their bill is $15.97. The fuel fluctuates based on a sliding scale and the agreement based on demand, right, or based on the current market value of fuel, and then the taxes, the sales taxes that the customer has to pay. So right now, customers are paying a total of $18.39 on their on a single residential cart. My recommendation on this one, withstanding, we can discuss potentially terminating this agreement and moving forward with a different company. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of information we'd have to gather on that. But my current recommendation for this one is to make a motion to increase all rates by a total of 12.52% to become effective on the next billing cycle. This will cover the increased pass-through Waste Connections. They sent us this letter on June 15th that they would be increasing these rates 9.24%. With an effective date of June the 1st. So a whole lot of extra notice on that.
Yeah.
But the total cost to the customer on this one, assuming fuel prices were the same as they were in June, would be $20.01.
That's what the customer would be charged, $20?
$20, but that's including, so our rate, what we would be charging is $17.47. The fuel on that fluctuates based on, our current market conditions, and the taxes would go up, the sales tax that they're paying for that would go up. So out the door, I wanted to kind of make that as transparent as possible for this process. What the customer would be paying is about $20 on this.
So that's just an increase.
Councilman Brown.
What?
So that's $1.62 increase.
Increase.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just broke it down.
$1.62.
I good.
Yes, sir. I have a question. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Danielle McGurk again. So what is your reasoning behind doing the increase if we're also looking at termination? Do we have to do the increase because that's what they're demanding, even though we're looking at the termination?
Good question on that one. So right now, they're increasing their costs they're gonna be charging us. There's no way of getting around that. It's in our agreement. We have to pay this additional cost. So we would be, eating what we'd be losing on that at the city. And it's in what I think the best interest to increase the rates for now and make sure that our budget is covered, that we're not, having any shortfalls in the funding. And then once we move down the line a little bit further, we can discuss the actual termination process, because we're gonna have to provide a lot of evidence. The ball gets placed in their court. They have an opportunity to remedy the situation as per our agreement. They may take us up on that. They may wanna have some meetings with that. Meanwhile, we will need to research different vendors and potentially see if they're gonna have comparable costs on this, because that may or may not be the case. I have not started research on this. Does that answer your question on that one?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Barbara Steinbrenner. My biggest concern is we have a lot of elderly people in our community that are low income. Is there any way that the city can help these, with all these increases with taxes and with the water and so forth? Is there some type of funding that could be done? I know Waco is decreasing their taxes to help their city citizens. Is there not something that we can do to help our lower income? Maybe not across the board for everybody, but the ones that are hurting. I mean, that's something to be
It's something we can look at.
That's an awful lot of increases for them.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's true. And Bruceville-Eddy has a lot of lower income families here, and stuff. But it's something that we can look into. I can't give you an answer or that. It's just something that the councils will have to get together and try to see, and we'll look into it. Any other questions? Okay.
I'd just like to say one thing. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
I
Councilman
agree that we need to go ahead and approve this tonight, but I want to be very adamant that I'm sick and tired of this company.
Yeah.
I've got, and if we could possibly get somebody else, that's good.
Yes, sir.
I get calls every week, they didn't pick up my trash, or they turned it over. I had two and they only picked up one, or they didn't pick up at all. And every week I get calls, and this has been going on for 2 years
Yes,
at
it
least.
has.
And they say, well, our truck broke down, or we don't have enough help. That's their problem. If they're gonna pick up the trash for the city of Bruceville-Eddy, they're gonna have to pick it up, or we'll get somebody that will.
Yes, sir.
Can't we have an offer?
Councilman Toller. Yes, we've had a
Yes.
couple.
But we have to get rid of the
We've had a couple.
contract.
Yeah, we just recently had one out of Killeen, I believe, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
That was gonna give us a pretty good
yeah.
price.
you need,
A
We're
small one.
looking into,
Yeah, yeah.
we're looking into some different
I thought
companies. Yes, sir.
So I guess I'll make a motion to, anybody else?
well, it's just a very tough business,
Yeah.
but they need to perform, or at least inform the citizens in
Yeah.
the city what's going on, and I can testify about the trucks breaking down, because it seems like every time they come get mine, it's a different one.
Yeah.
But,
Well, they need to get a new truck if they keep
well,
breaking down.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. People don't mind paying for what they get, but when they don't get it, don't blame them.
Yeah.
And I'm elderly too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us up here.
Okay, so you're making a motion.
I'm making a motion to, approve the new trash rates with Waste Connection,
Okay,
effective, July the 1st, 2022.
all right. And, Mr. Griffin seconded.
July the 1st.
I should have
Yes,
said I
sir.
reluctantly
Says
make.
effective July the 1st. No, they
They already-
went up on us in July, but we didn't know about it until.
Oh, they went up in June.
Go ahead.
So on the next billing cycle, they will fix the bill out.
That's where
The
they
rate
said,
increase will be
Yeah.
on there.
yes.
Well, I noticed that our collections on the financial statement wasn't as much for what we paid for the trash.
Yeah.
Because they went up.
Yes, it did,
I noticed that.
yeah.
But ain't nothing I can do about it now, that's a fact.
Okay.
Oh, he seconded, okay.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Reluctantly, but I will.
16, council to discuss, consider, and approve Thomas Arnold's code enforcement officer to start doing building permits and inspections with some help from James Redden.
Who is James Redding?
James Redden is he is a building inspector. He's, does it for Woodway, if I'm not mistaken. He is an inspector for Woodway, and he is a friend with, Mr. Arnold. and he is willing to help Mr. Arnold get his license on all of these things at his cost, not ours, but to help him. Mr. Arnold may be going to classes through us to get somewhere, but he said he wants to do everything, and he can do every inspection except plumbing. You have to be a licensed, you have to be a,
And I think he's working on that, I believe.
yeah, he's working on that.
Or one of
That's
them
what
is.
that is. Yes, sir.
What is this, what's his name, James Reardon?
Yeah.
James
What is that
Reardon.
gonna cost us?
He's cheaper than the other one that we're using. I
What
can't,
is it gonna cost?
let me think.
I didn't answer the question.
Did he give us a price list or anything, Ms. Pam?
Well, kind of, but we're discussing.
Yeah, we're in the process of discussing it,
Well, I don't wanna vote on it if we don't know what it's gonna cost.
It's he's cheaper. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Pam?
If they don't vote on it tonight, then Thomas is not gonna be able to do the inspection.
Inspections until it's voted on.
And that's what he was, I thought gave you more hours to do that.
Are we paying somebody now other than
Yeah.
Thomas?
Yes, and the one that we're using now, he comes out when he has several things to do at a time. Is that right?
Well, he just comes out when I send him what the inspections.
What we have,
Right, and we pay him.
and
what-
he gets all the money. We
Well,
pay
gets
him.
all except for a little bit.
Yeah.
Goes to the
But even this man, he will pay his way, will he not? In other words, the permits and things he inspected, they're gonna pay us for that. Is that correct?
Yes, if what he comes out and inspects, he will get paid. He will
He will get
he'll
paid like the
and
other
he'll make his
inspectors
money
now.
through,
Yeah.
through the inspections. Yes,
That's my question.
yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Wiggins.
But this Mr. Redding, he's just doing the plumbing inspections.
Mhm.
Right.
That's all he's doing.
Yes,
Right.
sir. That's
Yeah,
correct.
the city doesn't have to pay.
And the money we receive from the fees and permit fees will be enough to cover his costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
That's all I wanna know.
All right.
I didn't want a blank check.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes, ma'am, I'll make the
Okay.
motion.
Mr. Talbert made a motion to approve Thomas Arnold's code enforcement officer to start doing building permits and inspections with some help from James Redden. Second it?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bass seconds. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous? Okay.
Unanimous.
Number 17, and at this point, I am excusing myself from talking about this, and I am turning over to our Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Bass.
Thank you.
Okay?
Let's see what it says. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action to set a date for a public hearing for the purpose of revoking the conditional use permit for the business operating as Bivens Family Pet Cremation, which is located at 100 Andrea Street, and the property number and everything. Well, it says this is to be presented by Ricky Wiggins. I think this is, at our last meeting, we had a public hearing and then voted and approved a conditional use permit. But the question that came up that some of the neighbors around were within 200 feet of the property line. And we thought that it was from the building, but you got to use the property line. But they've all, just about every one of them, I think, has changed their mind and approved it, said it's fine and dandy with them. And Mr. Wiggins, you want to?
Yes, sir, I put this on the agenda, and for two reasons. One is, I misspoke. It was someone in the audience, I don't know who it was, asked the question if this permit was approved and they sold the land, put the business on there and they sold the land, would the conditional permit go with the land? I said no, I was wrong. And I did read it that night later because I was trying to address that it could be revoked on 3 items. and I read the whole thing, and I read it, but I don't think anybody caught it, and I should have stepped up and said, well, I was wrong about it, but I didn't. So that's my fault, and I apologize for that. So I will read that. It's section 7-509. It says a conditional use permit, once approved, shall run with the land and be used in conjunction with conditions approved or as modified. Period. And the second reason was, we should have sent it to 5 people, and we only sent it to 2. And so with that in mind, I thought we needed to come back on our side and correct that. And also, since that time, Miss Danny here has gone out to 4 of those 5, and she spoke with them and wrote up statements from them, and these are what the people said. Is that correct, Danny?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now one other thing, Pam, the people that's 4 of these out of the 5, is that 4 out of the 5 that we should have sent it to?
Yes.
Okay, and with that said, if you wanna speak, I don't see any reason to do anything, because she went out and we made a mistake on our part. I made a mistake. We brought it and tried to fix it here, and Danny went out to 4 out of the 5,
Yes, sir.
and all of them are okay with it.
Yes, sir.
So I don't see any reason to proceed any further unless council does.
So what you're saying is, we just don't have to take action?
No action taken,
Okay.
if that's okay with you.
I agree with everything you're saying.
So it
Yes, sir,
stands
yes,
as...
sir, yes, sir.
Or
And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, didn't the guy that had the problem, didn't he end up liking the idea? Or
Yeah.
Actually, if
He
you're
did.
talking about the neighbors that were sitting in the back last meeting,
Yes.
they actually are appreciative of their new fence.
Yeah, that's what
They have a
I
fenced-in
understood.
yard now, so they're excited.
After you built the fence.
Yes, sir. They do not mind at all.
Yeah, and so, does everybody,
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't,
Conditional use permit
I
stay with
didn't
the land.
understand you.
Okay, you corrected yourself and said
Yes.
that if she were to sell the land, sell the business.
Yes,
The conditional permit would stay with the land.
correct.
Yes.
So could someone come in and do a different business because it has the conditional permit on it?
No.
The
It's just for-
conditional permit is for the pet crematorium.
Crematorium.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody comes in, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody comes in and purchases that from her, they can still operate as a pet crematorium. Now, if it's, that changes to something else, from my understanding, no, they would have to come back to us.
Yeah.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Well, let me finish this
Oh,
first.
okay. All right. I thought you was finished. I'm sorry.
As it stands, if we just don't take no action on this, then the approval, conditional permit from our last meeting still stands, so.
Correct.
Yes,
So,
as approved for the
okay,
council.
so I'm just gonna say that no action is taken on
Okay.
item 17.
Okay.
Is that good? Okay,
Motion.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all very much.
So, you got anything else, Madam Mayor? Okay.
Somebody want to second that?
Second.
Motion made to adjourn, and this council meeting is hereby adjourned at, what is that, 7:20?
7:20,
Okay.
7:20.
All right. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank y'all very much.
Busy week, you missed 4 records. When you get a minute.